Rich is My Normal, written and published by Rich Audiobooks. Your mind is constantly processing and categorizing experiences, creating a framework for what you consider normal. This normalization process shapes not just your thoughts, but the very reality you manifest in your life. When it comes to wealth and abundance, the level of prosperity you've normalized becomes your default setting, the financial baseline your subconscious mind works to maintain. Think about how you react when you walk into a luxury store or drive past an expensive neighborhood. Do you feel a sense of belonging, or does something inside you whisper, "This isn't for people like me"? That reaction reveals your normalized level of wealth, and it's more powerful than any vision board or affirmation you might create. Your normalized state acts as an internal thermostat, consistently pulling your experiences back to what feels familiar and comfortable. The fascinating aspect of normalization is that it operates beneath your conscious awareness. You might intellectually desire greater wealth, but if your normalized state is set to financial struggle, your subconscious mind will sabotage opportunities that could elevate you beyond that familiar territory. This explains why lottery winners often lose their fortunes and return to their previous financial status. Their normalized state hasn't shifted to match their new circumstances. Your current financial reality isn't a reflection of your potential or worth. It's simply a manifestation of what you've normalized over time. This book reveals how to deliberately shift your normalized state from scarcity to abundance, making wealth feel as natural and expected as breathing. The goal isn't to achieve wealth, it's to normalize it so completely that prosperity becomes your automatic default setting. Lesson 1. What you normalize, you materialize. Your mind is constantly processing and categorizing experiences, creating a framework for what you consider normal. This normalization process shapes not just your thoughts, but the very reality you manifest in your life. When it comes to wealth and abundance, the level of prosperity you've normalized becomes your default setting, the financial baseline your subconscious mind works to maintain. Think about how you react when you walk into a luxury store or drive past an expensive neighborhood. Do you feel a sense of belonging, or does something inside you whisper, "This isn't for people like me"? That reaction reveals your normalized level of wealth, and it's more powerful than any vision board or affirmation you might create. Your normalized state acts as an internal thermostat, consistently pulling your experiences back to what feels familiar and comfortable. The fascinating aspect of normalization is that it operates beneath your conscious awareness. You might intellectually desire greater wealth, but if your normalized state is set to financial struggle, your subconscious mind will sabotage opportunities that could elevate you beyond that familiar territory. This explains why lottery winners often lose their fortunes and return to their previous financial status. Their normalized state hasn't shifted to match their new circumstances. Your current financial reality isn't a reflection of your potential or worth. It's simply a manifestation of what you've normalized over time. Every experience, conversation, and observation about money from your earliest years has contributed to this normalization. The good news is that this same mechanism that locked in your current financial set point can be deliberately used to establish a new normal. Shifting your normalized state begins with conscious exposure to higher levels of prosperity. This doesn't mean spending money you don't have, but rather intentionally placing yourself in environments and situations that represent your desired financial reality. Browse high-end real estate listings, test drive luxury vehicles, visit upscale hotels for afternoon tea. These experiences gradually reprogram your subconscious to accept abundance as natural and expected, rather than foreign and unattainable. The key is consistency in this exposure, while managing your emotional response. Notice when feelings of unworthiness or anxiety arise, and remind yourself that you're simply expanding your sense of normal. Your brain is remarkably adaptable. What feels uncomfortable today becomes mundane with enough exposure. This is the same process that makes a new car feel ordinary after a few months, or a salary increase seem standard after a year. As you actively work to normalize greater wealth, pay attention to your language and thought patterns. Do you automatically calculate why something is too expensive? Do you find yourself explaining why you can't afford certain experiences? These habits reinforce your current financial set point. Instead, practice thinking and speaking from your desired normal, even if it feels artificial at first. Rather than saying, "I can't afford that," shift to, "I'm choosing to direct my resources elsewhere right now." The process of normalizing wealth extends beyond material possessions to encompass your entire relationship with abundance. It includes normalizing receiving support, opportunities, and good fortune. It means accepting success without feeling the need to apologize or diminish your achievements. When prosperity becomes your normal, you stop treating it as an exception or a stroke of luck. What you're doing is not creating a false reality, but rather expanding your acceptance of what's possible for you. Every person who has achieved significant wealth had to first normalize that level of abundance in their mind. They had to make it feel natural, expected, and in alignment with their self-impression. By consciously choosing to normalize greater prosperity, you're not being unrealistic, you're simply adjusting your internal settings to match your true potential. Lesson 2. Letting wealth feel familiar. The most significant barrier between you and sustained wealth isn't your bank account, it's the underlying discomfort you feel around abundance. When luxury feels foreign, we subconsciously push it away or sabotage it when it arrives. This deep-seated unfamiliarity with wealth creates an invisible wall that keeps prosperity at arm's length, even when opportunities present themselves. Think about how you feel when you walk into a high-end store or luxury hotel lobby. Do you stand differently, speak more softly, feel like you don't quite belong? These subtle signs of discomfort reveal where wealth still feels alien to your system. The good news is that this response isn't fixed. It's simply a matter of exposure and intentional recalibration of your comfort zone. The key to making wealth feel familiar lies in gradual, consistent exposure to elevated experiences. Start with small steps that stretch your current normal without triggering overwhelming resistance. Browse luxury real estate listings regularly, not to buy, but to normalize those price points in your mind. Visit upscale neighborhoods and imagine them as your natural environment. Read high-end magazines and allow yourself to resonate with the lifestyle depicted, rather than dismissing it as unrealistic. Your brain creates comfort through repetition and exposure. Each time you intentionally place yourself in proximity to wealth, whether through environment, conversation, or experience, you're rewiring your neural pathways to accept abundance as normal. The initial awkwardness you might feel is simply your old programming resisting the update. Push through it gently but persistently. Consider how you developed familiarity with your current lifestyle. You didn't question or feel uncomfortable with it because it's what you've known and experienced repeatedly. The same principle applies to creating comfort with greater wealth. Make it a point to regularly engage with people operating at higher financial levels. Notice how they talk about money, how they carry themselves, how they make decisions. Allow their normalized relationship with wealth to influence your own. The physical environment plays a crucial role in this familiarization process. Upgrade small elements of your daily experience, perhaps better quality sheets, a premium coffee brand, or more elegant dinnerware. These seemingly minor shifts create consistent touchpoints with a more abundant lifestyle. Every time you interact with these elevated elements, you're reinforcing wealth as your new normal. Pay attention to your language and thoughts around money and luxury. When you catch yourself saying things like, "I could never afford that," or "that's for other people," gently correct these statements. Replace them with more neutral observations like, "That's an interesting price point," or "I'm choosing to direct my resources elsewhere right now." This subtle shift helps dissolve the emotional charge around wealth and makes it feel more accessible. Familiarity with wealth isn't about pretending or forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations. It's about gradually expanding your comfort zone until luxury feels as natural as breathing. Think of it like learning a new language. At first, every word requires conscious effort, but with immersion and practice, it becomes second nature. The same principle applies to becoming fluent in the language of wealth. The process of letting wealth feel familiar requires patience and consistency. You're undoing years or even generations of programming that made scarcity feel normal. Celebrate the moments when you notice yourself feeling more at ease in abundant environments or situations. These are the signs that your new normal is taking root, creating fertile ground for lasting prosperity to grow. Lesson 3. Shifting from aspiration to expectation. The difference between those who consistently attract wealth and those who remain in perpetual pursuit often comes down to one subtle but crucial distinction: whether they view prosperity as an aspiration or an expectation. When wealth remains in the realm of aspiration, it stays forever on the horizon, something to yearn for, dream about, and chase after. But expectations have a way of manifesting because they're grounded in certainty rather than hope. Consider how you approach your daily needs. You expect to have air to breathe, water to drink, and a bed to sleep in at night. There's no anxiety or questioning around these basics because you've normalized them as givens in your life. This same level of certainty must be cultivated around wealth and abundance. When you shift from hoping money will come to knowing it will arrive, your entire relationship with prosperity transforms. This shift requires dismantling the pedestal we often place wealth upon. While society encourages us to view financial abundance as something rare and exceptional, this perspective keeps it at arm's length. Instead, begin treating wealth as you would any other natural part of life, like the sun rising each morning or the seasons changing. There's no need to obsess over it or doubt its arrival. It simply is, and it simply comes. The language you use plays a vital role in this transformation. Notice how often you say things like, "I wish I could afford that," or "maybe someday I'll have enough." These phrases reinforce wealth as an aspiration rather than an expectation. Start speaking with certainty. When I purchase that, or as I increase my wealth, let your words reflect the inevitability of your prosperity rather than its possibility. Your actions must align with this new mindset of expectation. Someone who expects wealth makes decisions differently than someone who merely hopes for it. They invest in quality, plan for expansion, and create space for abundance before it arrives. They don't wait for proof of their wealth to act wealthy. They understand that expectation precedes manifestation. This shift also requires you to release the emotional charge around money. When wealth is an aspiration, it carries heavy emotional weight: desire, anxiety, unworthiness, and fear of disappointment. But expectations are emotionally neutral. You don't get emotional about breathing air or the sun rising. You simply know these things will be there. Cultivate this same steady certainty about your financial abundance. Expectations aren't about demanding or forcing outcomes. They're about aligning your internal reality with the prosperity you desire to experience. Just as a pregnant woman doesn't hope she's pregnant, she knows she is and naturally begins preparing. You must know that wealth is already yours in consciousness before it manifests in form. Start examining areas where you're still treating wealth as an aspiration. Where are you timid about claiming abundance? Where do you hedge your bets with phrases like hopefully or maybe? These are the places requiring your attention and intentional shifting. Each time you catch yourself in aspirational thinking, pause and reset to the energy of expectation. Your wealth isn't a matter of if, but when. It's not something to achieve, but something to allow. By releasing the striving energy of aspiration and settling into the quiet confidence of expectation, you create the internal conditions for prosperity to flow naturally and abundantly into your life. Let this be the moment you decide that wealth isn't your dream, it's your baseline, your normal, your natural state of being. Lesson 4. Abundance as a daily experience. The greatest misconception about living an abundant life is that it requires massive external changes or a specific income threshold. In reality, abundance is woven into the fabric of each day. We simply need to attune ourselves to recognize and amplify it. When you understand this fundamental truth, you begin to see opportunities for luxury experiences in even the most ordinary moments. Consider your morning routine. Instead of rushing through it, you can transform it into a high-end spa experience. The warm water cascading over you becomes a waterfall massage. Your skincare routine becomes a facial treatment. Your coffee preparation becomes an artisanal ritual. These aren't pretend exercises. They're conscious elevations of existing experiences that train your mind to expect and create luxury in every circumstance. Throughout your day, abundance presents itself in countless forms: the sunlight streaming through your window, the comfort of your chair, the technology at your fingertips, the ability to communicate instantly with anyone worldwide. These are experiences that even the wealthiest people from previous generations couldn't access. By consciously acknowledging these moments, you begin programming your mind to notice prosperity rather than lack. The key to making abundance your daily reality lies in the art of elevation. Take your lunch break, for instance. Instead of eating hurriedly at your desk, you can create a fine dining experience. Set your table properly, even if you're alone. Use your best dishes. Arrange your food beautifully. Play soft background music. This isn't about spending more money. It's about bringing consciousness and intention to experiences you'll already have. Your evening routine offers another canvas for cultivating abundance. Rather than collapsing onto your couch, create a luxury lounge experience. Arrange your pillows thoughtfully, light a candle, prepare a signature beverage. The same space and similar actions, but approached with an abundance mindset, transform into something far more elevated. This consistent practice of upgrading your daily experiences gradually rewires your brain to expect and create luxury. When challenges arise, your abundance practice becomes even more crucial. Instead of reverting to scarcity thinking, train yourself to find the hidden wealth in difficult situations. A delayed flight becomes an opportunity for an impromptu luxury lounge experience. A rainy day transforms into a cozy high-end retreat. This isn't toxic positivity. It's strategic reframing that maintains your wealth consciousness even in adversity. The compound effect of these daily abundance practices cannot be overstated. Each luxury moment you create, no matter how small, builds upon the previous ones. Over time, your nervous system begins to expect these elevated experiences as normal. Your default settings shift from basic to luxurious, from scarcity to abundance, from surviving to thriving. Consistency matters more than grandness. Small, daily abundance practices are more powerful than occasional large gestures. The goal is to make luxury your natural state, not an occasional visitor in your life. As you move through your days consciously creating these elevated experiences, you'll find that abundance becomes less about what you have and more about how you live. This daily abundance practice extends beyond material experiences into your interactions and energy. Notice how you can bring an abundant quality to your conversations, your work, your relationships. When abundance becomes your operating system, it influences not just what you do, but how you do everything. Your presence itself becomes a source of luxury, creating a magnetic field that attracts more prosperity into your life. Lesson 5. Detaching from someday thinking. The greatest obstacle between you and your wealthy reality isn't external circumstances. It's the perpetual postponement of your prosperity to some undefined future date. This someday thinking acts as an invisible barrier, constantly pushing your desired lifestyle just beyond your reach. While it masquerades as practical planning, it actually serves as a form of self-protection, keeping you safely distanced from the vulnerability of claiming wealth now. Consider how often you've told yourself, "When I have more money, I'll start living that way," or "Once I reach this goal, then I can enjoy luxury." These statements might seem responsible, but they're actually training your brain to associate wealth with an eternally distant future. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between legitimate financial planning and habitual postponement. It simply learns that abundance belongs to later, never to now. The wealthy don't wait to feel wealthy. They claim that identity in the present moment, regardless of their current bank balance. This isn't about pretending or fake it till you make it mentality. It's about understanding that wealth is primarily a state of being rather than a financial threshold. When you constantly defer your wealthy identity to the future, you're inadvertently programming yourself to always be in pursuit of wealth rather than in possession of it. The solution lies in collapsing time in your wealth consciousness. Instead of seeing wealth as a distant destination, bring it into your immediate experience. This means making decisions from your future wealthy self rather than your current circumstances. When faced with choices, ask yourself, what would my wealthy self do, not from a place of reckless spending, but from the mindset of someone who naturally inhabits a prosperous reality? Today's shift requires you to release the safety net of someday. It means accepting that there will never be a perfect moment when you suddenly feel ready to claim your wealthy identity. The readiness you're waiting for is actually created by acting as if you're already there. Every time you catch yourself pushing wealth into the future, gently bring it back to the present moment. If you find yourself saying, "When I'm rich, I'll," stop and ask yourself how you can embody that quality or experience now, even in a small way. Your relationship with time directly impacts your relationship with wealth. Those who consistently postpone their wealthy reality often find themselves stuck in an endless cycle of preparation and waiting. They're always getting ready to be ready, perpetually organizing their lives for a future that never arrives, because they haven't given themselves permission to live it now. Breaking free from someday thinking also means confronting the uncomfortable truth that you might be using future promises as a way to avoid taking action today. It's easier to dream about tomorrow's wealth than to make the challenging decisions and changes required in the present moment. But wealth doesn't accumulate through passive waiting. It grows through active claiming of your prosperous identity right now. Start examining the areas of your life where you've placed wealth on hold. Look for the subtle ways you might be deferring your abundance mindset. Perhaps you're waiting to dress better, waiting to improve your environment, waiting to speak with confidence about money, or waiting to make empowered financial decisions. These are all opportunities to collapse time and bring your wealthy identity into the present moment. Your wealthy reality isn't waiting for you in some distant future. It's available now, waiting to be claimed through your present moment choices, attitudes, and actions. The more you can release the habit of postponement, the more quickly your external circumstances will align with your internal wealth consciousness. Your prosperous life isn't something to be achieved someday. It's something to be lived today. Lesson 6. Rewriting your emotional set point. Your emotional relationship with money runs deeper than your bank balance or financial goals. It's an intricate web of feelings, memories, and learned responses that creates your default emotional state around wealth. This emotional set point acts like a thermostat, automatically pulling you back to familiar feelings about money, whether those feelings serve you or not. Most people's emotional set point around money oscillates between anxiety, worry, and brief moments of relief when bills are paid. This creates a restrictive emotional container that can only hold so much abundance before unconscious discomfort kicks in. To truly normalize wealth, we must first expand our emotional capacity to hold it. Think of your current emotional relationship with money like a familiar room you've lived in for years. The furniture may be worn and uncomfortable, but it's what you know. Creating a new emotional set point requires renovating this room entirely, replacing anxiety with calm certainty, worry with peaceful confidence, and scarcity fears with abundant awareness. The process begins with honest emotional inventory. Notice how your body feels when you check your bank account, make purchases, or think about your financial future. These physical sensations are the tangible manifestation of your emotional set point. Rather than judging these feelings, observe them with curiosity. They're simply showing you where your emotional thermostat is currently set. To adjust this thermostat, we must practice feeling wealthy before external circumstances match. This isn't about denial or pretense. It's about deliberately cultivating the emotional signature of abundance. Wealth, at its core, feels like ease, security, freedom, and expansiveness. These emotions are available to practice regardless of your current financial situation. Be incorporating emotional rehearsal into your daily routine. Spend time feeling what it's like to be deeply secure financially. Let your body experience the sensation of knowing your wealth is constantly growing. Practice the emotion of having more than enough, of being a natural match for luxury and abundance. These aren't visualizations or affirmations. They're visceral emotional experiences. As you work with these new emotions, you'll likely encounter resistance. Old feelings of unworthiness, guilt, or fear may surface. This is normal and necessary. These emotions need to be processed and released to make room for your new emotional baseline. Welcome them as they arise, feel them fully, and let them pass through without attaching to their story. Your nervous system needs time to adjust to these new emotional patterns. Just as your eyes need time to adjust to bright light after darkness, your system needs gentle, consistent exposure to abundant emotions. Practice in small doses throughout the day. Let wealth-based emotions become as familiar as breathing. The external world naturally begins to shift as your emotional set point stabilizes at a higher level. You'll notice opportunities you previously missed, feel drawn to more abundant environments, and make decisions from a place of expanded possibility rather than constraint. Your new emotional normal becomes a magnetic force, attracting circumstances that match its frequency. This isn't about maintaining perpetual positive emotions. It's about establishing a new baseline that naturally includes abundance. Just as wealthy people can have bad days without doubting their fundamental prosperity, your new emotional set point creates a stable foundation of abundance that temporary fluctuations cannot shake. Rich becomes your normal not just in thought or action, but in the very fabric of your emotional being. This emotional rewiring is a practice, not a destination. Each time you choose to feel wealthy despite circumstances, you strengthen your new set point. Each time you process old scarcity emotions with compassion, you create more space for abundance to take root. Your emotional relationship with wealth is perhaps the most powerful asset you have. Invest in it accordingly. Lesson 7. Wealth in the little moments. True wealth consciousness isn't built solely on grand gestures or major milestones. It's cultivated in the seemingly insignificant moments that fill our daily lives. These small instances hold tremendous power to reshape our relationship with abundance, yet most people overlook them entirely, always waiting for the big breakthrough instead. Consider your morning coffee ritual. There's a vast difference between hurriedly gulping down coffee from a chipped mug versus mindfully sipping an artisanal blend from fine porcelain while watching the sunrise. The monetary difference might be minimal, but the energetic distinction is profound. This is where the practice of elevating ordinary moments begins, by bringing intention and refinement to the experiences we already have. Your wealth consciousness can be strengthened through countless daily opportunities: the way you make your bed, how you dress for a regular workday, the manner in which you set your table for a simple meal. Each of these moments presents a choice: to default to basic functionality or to infuse it with an element of luxury and intentionality. When you choose the latter, you're not just performing tasks, you're actively programming your nervous system to expect and normalize a higher standard of living. The art of savoring plays a crucial role in this practice. Rather than rushing through experiences, pause to fully absorb the quality of each moment. Feel the softness of your sheets. Appreciate the design of your watch. Notice the elegance of your handwriting. These aren't exercises in materialism. They're opportunities to train your awareness to detect and appreciate quality, beauty, and excellence in your immediate environment. Creating wealth anchors in your physical space reinforces this practice. A wealth anchor can be as simple as a beautiful candle, a piece of art, or fresh flowers on your desk. These elements serve as constant reminders of your commitment to living at a higher standard, regardless of their cost. They trigger your brain to maintain alignment with the wealthy version of yourself you're cultivating. Your language patterns around everyday experiences also shape your wealth consciousness. Instead of saying, "I need to do laundry," you might say, "I'm refreshing my wardrobe." Rather than grocery shopping, think of it as curating my weekly dining experience. These subtle shifts in terminology elevate ordinary tasks into expressions of abundant living. The compound effect of these small moments cannot be overstated. Each time you choose to enhance an everyday experience, you're laying another brick in the foundation of your wealthy identity. You're teaching your subconscious mind that luxury isn't something reserved for special occasions. It's simply how you live. Most importantly, this practice helps bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired lifestyle. By finding ways to experience wealth in your present circumstances, you dissolve the perceived distance between where you are and where you want to be. You begin to understand that wealth isn't about waiting for future circumstances to align. It's about how you choose to experience the present moment. This approach to wealth consciousness is particularly powerful because it's immediately accessible. You don't need to wait for permission, perfect conditions, or more resources. You can begin right now with whatever is in front of you. Every moment contains the potential for refinement, for elevation, for the expression of abundance. Your task is simply to recognize and activate that potential, one small moment at a time. Lesson 8. Rejecting drama and scarcity cycles. Financial drama has become so normalized in our society that many people don't even recognize when they're caught in its grip. The constant ups and downs, the emergencies, the last-minute saves, and the persistent feeling that you're always just one step ahead of disaster, these aren't normal or necessary aspects of your financial life. They're patterns that keep you locked in a scarcity mindset and prevent you from experiencing true financial peace. Think about how many conversations you've had that center around money problems, bill stress, or financial worry. These discussions often carry an addictive quality. There's almost a perverse pleasure in sharing war stories about financial hardship. This is because drama, even negative drama, gives us attention, connection, and a sense of identity. When we've built our self-image around managing crises and making it work, we subconsciously create more situations that reinforce this role. The first step in breaking free from financial drama is recognizing your personal patterns. Do you tend to overspend when things are good, creating inevitable downturns? Do you sabotage opportunities for advancement because stability feels uncomfortably boring? Do you find yourself repeatedly in situations where you need to be rescued financially? These patterns aren't random. They're cyclical behaviors that serve some psychological purpose, even if that purpose no longer serves your highest good. Scarcity thinking operates like a virus, infecting every financial decision with fear and limitation. It shows up in small ways, buying the cheapest option even when you can afford better, hesitating to invest in yourself, feeling guilty about purchases that bring you joy. It shows up in bigger ways too, staying in unfulfilling jobs or avoiding opportunities because you don't feel ready. Each time you act from scarcity, you strengthen its hold on your psyche. Creating boundaries against poverty consciousness requires vigilance and practice. Start by becoming aware of the language you use around money. Replace phrases like, "I can't afford it," with "I'm choosing to spend my money elsewhere." Notice when you're drawn into others' financial drama and practice politely disengaging. Begin to see yourself as someone who experiences peaceful prosperity rather than constant financial challenges. Stability might feel boring at first. Our nervous systems are often addicted to the cortisol rush of financial stress. But this new normal is what creates space for true wealth to enter. When you're no longer expending energy on managing crises, you can focus on growth and expansion. When you're not constantly reacting to financial fires, you can strategically build your empire. Consider how much mental and emotional energy you currently spend on financial worry and drama. Imagine redirecting all that energy toward creating wealth instead. This isn't about denying real financial challenges when they arise. It's about stopping the cycle of self-created chaos that keeps you stuck in scarcity patterns. Your new normal can be one of calm financial confidence. It can be knowing that your needs are met without constant struggle. It can be making clear-headed decisions about money without emotional turbulence. When drama appears in your financial life, you can choose to respond rather than react, maintaining your equilibrium rather than being pulled into the chaos. The path to sustainable wealth isn't paved with excitement and drama. It's built on consistent, stable choices that might seem boring by comparison. But this boring stability is what allows you to create lasting prosperity. By rejecting the adrenaline rush of financial drama and embracing steady growth, you create the foundation for true abundance to become your default setting. Lesson 9. Making luxury boring. The most profound shift in normalizing wealth occurs when luxury loses its sparkle, not because it's no longer enjoyable, but because it's become your standard operating procedure. This chapter explores the counterintuitive practice of deliberately making luxury feel ordinary, which paradoxically helps cement it as your default experience. When luxury feels special, it remains outside your normal reality. Think about how you react to everyday conveniences like running water or electricity. You don't get excited about turning on a tap or flipping a light switch, even though these would have been considered extraordinary luxuries in the past. This same psychological principle needs to apply to higher levels of abundance in your life. The process begins with conscious desensitization to luxury experiences. Instead of treating high-end restaurants, premium services, or exclusive venues as special occasions, start viewing them as regular choices. This doesn't mean you don't appreciate their quality. Rather, you're shifting them from the realm of the expected to the realm of the expected. When you check into a 5-star hotel, practice feeling like you're simply coming home rather than experiencing a rare treat. This normalization process extends to how you interact with luxury items and experiences. Notice how wealthy people often appear casual about their affluent lifestyle, not from arrogance, but from genuine familiarity. They don't photograph every expensive meal or post about every luxury purchase because these things aren't novel to them. Begin adopting this same attitude, even if you're still growing into your desired lifestyle. The language you use plays a crucial role in this normalization process. Stop using phrases like treating yourself or splurging when engaging with luxury experiences. These words reinforce the idea that luxury is an exception rather than your standard. Instead, adopt matter-of-fact language about high-end choices, speaking about them with the same casualness you'd discuss any other regular decision in your life. Your emotional response to luxury requires recalibration as well. While appreciation remains important, work to release the excessive excitement or anxiety that often accompanies luxury experiences. If you find yourself feeling giddy about staying at an expensive resort or nervous about using high-end services, gently remind yourself that this is simply your normal way of life. The goal is to feel as comfortable in these settings as you do in your own living room. This normalization extends to how you handle wealth conversations. Practice discussing expensive purchases or lifestyle choices without apologizing, justifying, or drawing attention to their cost. When others express surprise or amazement at your choices, respond with simple acknowledgement rather than matching their excitement or feeling compelled to explain yourself. The art of making luxury boring also involves maintaining high standards consistently, not just during special moments. This means paying attention to quality in all areas of life, from your morning coffee to your bedding to the services you use. When excellence becomes your baseline, luxury naturally loses its novelty while remaining your preferred way of living. This practice isn't about becoming jaded or unappreciative. Instead, it's about creating such deep comfort with wealth that luxury becomes your natural habitat rather than a destination you're trying to reach. By making luxury boring, you remove the emotional charge that often keeps it at arm's length, allowing it to fully integrate into your daily reality as simply the way things are. Lesson 10. Living rich as your default setting. The ultimate achievement in normalizing wealth isn't reaching a specific number in your bank account. It's establishing affluence as your natural state of being. When wealth becomes your default setting, you no longer need to consciously think about manifesting abundance or maintaining a prosperity mindset. It simply becomes who you are, as automatic as breathing. This default setting operates on multiple levels. At its core, it's about your immediate responses to situations. When faced with a decision, your instinct is to choose from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. When an opportunity presents itself, you automatically consider the highest potential outcome rather than limiting yourself to safer, smaller options. Your default setting determines these split-second choices that ultimately shape your financial reality. Your new default setting also influences how you move through the world physically. Your posture, walk, and presence naturally emanate quiet confidence. You don't need to prove anything to anyone because wealth is simply your normal state. This physical embodiment of wealth isn't about designer labels or flashy displays. It's about carrying yourself with the easy assurance of someone who knows their worth and expects good things as a matter of course. The language you use shifts automatically as well. Gone are the qualifiers and apologies that often accompany discussing money or success. You speak about wealth clearly and directly, without emotional charge or judgment. Your default vocabulary becomes one of possibility and abundance, not because you're trying to practice positive affirmations, but because that's simply how you view the world. Your default setting extends to your environment and the way you interact with your surroundings. You naturally maintain high standards in your space, not from a place of perfectionism, but because excellence feels normal to you. You expect things to work well, people to be competent, and experiences to be enjoyable. When something falls below your standards, you address it matter-of-factly rather than tolerating it or making dramatic complaints. Relationships take on a different quality when wealth is your default. You naturally attract and connect with others who share your abundance mindset. You no longer feel the need to diminish yourself to make others comfortable or to justify your success. Your default setting creates clear, energetic boundaries that allow you to be generous while maintaining healthy standards in all your interactions. Perhaps most importantly, your default setting determines how you handle challenges. When obstacles arise, you automatically view them through the lens of opportunity rather than threat. Financial setbacks are seen as temporary adjustments rather than catastrophes. Your baseline expectation of abundance remains unchanged, even when circumstances fluctuate, because your default setting is deeper than external conditions. This transformation to wealth as your default setting happens gradually through consistent inner work and outer alignment. Each time you choose the abundant perspective, each time you maintain your standards, each time you speak with quiet confidence about money, you strengthen this new normal. Eventually, living rich becomes as natural as your native language. You don't have to think about it, you simply express it. Your default setting isn't about maintaining a perfect facade or never having doubts. It's about establishing such a deep foundation of abundance that it becomes your automatic starting point, your natural way of being. From this foundation, you can navigate any situation while maintaining your core identity as some for whom wealth is normal, natural, and inevitable.